The Galaxy Council chambers were buzzing with nervous energy. 47 different species had representatives sitting in the massive circular room, but all of them were talking about the same thing: the humans. Counselor Zephlin of the Hegemony floated above her designated speaking platform. Her species looked like jellyfish made of pure energy, and when she was nervous, she glowed brighter. Right now, she was glowing very bright indeed. "Fellow counselors," she said, her voice carrying through the chamber's translation systems, "we must discuss the human problem immediately. The intelligence reports I have received are deeply troubling." Depth Lord Morgan raised one of his 6 arms from his water-filled speaking tank. His species had ruled the oceans of 12 worlds before joining the Council 2,000 years ago. They were known for being calm and thoughtful. Today Morgan looked anything but calm. "Counselor Zephlin speaks truth," he gurgled through his breathing apparatus. "My intelligence services have been monitoring human space for the past 5 years. What we have discovered should frighten us all." Archive Keeper Silthera activated her personal display screen. Her people had been keeping records of galactic history for 8,000 years. They remembered every species the Council had been forced to eliminate. She pulled up a chart showing the expansion patterns of previous problem species. "Look at this data," she said, her 4 eyes focusing on different parts of the screen simultaneously. Every species that expanded this rapidly eventually attempted galactic conquest. Every single one. High Chancellor Veltaran stood in the center of the chamber. She had delivered the ultimatum to the humans just 6 hours ago, but she was already having doubts about whether it would work. "Present your evidence," she commanded. Zephlin's glow intensified as she activated her holographic displays. Images of human military installations appeared throughout the chamber. 12 systems in 50 years, she began. "But look closer at what they built in each system. These are not colonies. These are military bases disguised as colonies." The images zoomed in to show detailed scans of human settlements. What looked like civilian cities from a distance revealed themselves to be heavily fortified positions when examined closely. Every human farming community has underground bunker systems. Every research station has military-grade sensors and communication arrays. Every mining operation is positioned to control key shipping routes. Morgan's water tank bubbled as he spoke. "It gets worse. My people have analyzed human ship designs. They do not follow standard galactic principles." New images appeared. Technical drawings of human warships compared to standard alien designs. Most species build bigger ships as they advance. Bigger ships mean more weapons, more armor, more power. Humans build smaller ships, but they build many more of them. Counselor Kethvar of the Machine Republic processed the data with electronic precision. His species had replaced most of their organic parts with cybernetic enhancements over the centuries. "Efficiency analysis confirms unusual patterns," he announced in his mechanical voice. "Human ship-to-population ratios exceed galactic norms by 340%. Their manufacturing capacity suggests military preparation on unprecedented scales." Silthera brought up historical records on her screen. "This is exactly what happened with the Ravager species 2,400 years ago, and the Swarm Collective one about 800 years ago, and the Iron Dynasty one 200 years ago." She highlighted common patterns in the data: rapid expansion, military buildup, unusual ship designs, and in every case, within a century of first contact, they attempted to conquer their neighbors. Depth Lord Morgan's tank systems made worried sounds as he accessed classified files. "There is something else, something that may be even more dangerous." He paused, making sure he had everyone's attention. "Humans have developed kinetic bombardment weapons." A shocked silence fell over the chamber. Several counselors started talking at once before Chancellor Veltaran called for order. "Explain," she commanded. "Simple physics used as a weapon," Morgan continued. "They accelerate dense metal rods to tremendous speeds and drop them on targets. No exotic matter required. No energy weapons. No complex technology. Just mass, velocity, and gravity." Counselor Farion of the Crystal Territories spoke up. His species had been fighting wars for 3,000 years before joining the Council. "Kinetic weapons are not new," he said dismissively. "Many species have used them." "Not like this," Morgan replied, bringing up tactical analyses. "Human kinetic weapons are designed to crack planetary crusts. They can cause extinction-level events with weapons that cost almost nothing to manufacture." The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. Extinction-level weapons were supposed to be rare, expensive and heavily regulated by the Council. The idea that humans could build them cheaply and easily was terrifying. Zephelin's glow had become so bright it was hard to look at directly. "My intelligence sources have discovered something else," she said. "Humans are building something massive in their home system, something hidden behind artificial asteroid fields." She activated long-range sensor data showing the outer edges of the Sol system. "These readings are from our deep space monitoring stations. Look at the material consumption rates around the planet they call Saturn. Entire asteroids are disappearing. The energy signatures suggest massive construction projects." Archive Keeper Silthara checked her historical databases. "Resource consumption at these levels typically indicates one of two things," she announced. "Either they are building a defensive system designed to protect their home world, or they are constructing a fleet capable of attacking multiple systems simultaneously." Chancellor Veltarin had been listening to all of this with growing concern. The ultimatum she had delivered was supposed to stop a potential threat before it became dangerous. But the evidence suggested the threat might already be much larger than anyone had realized. "How did our monitoring systems miss this level of activity?" she demanded. Counselor Keithvar's mechanical systems whirred as he processed data. "Analysis indicates humans have been using our own trade routes against us. Every human merchant ship that has visited Council space has been conducting reconnaissance. Every human diplomat has been gathering intelligence. Every human student in our universities has been acquiring technical knowledge." The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. For 20 years, humans had been treated as a typical young species, curious, eager to learn, grateful for the opportunity to join galactic civilization. Now it appeared they had been systematically studying every weakness in Council space. Depth Lord Morgan's tank systems made distressed noises. "There is one more thing," he said reluctantly. "Our intelligence services have discovered evidence that humans have been in contact with survivors of species we were forced to eliminate." The chamber fell completely silent. This was impossible. The Council's corrective actions were always complete. No survivors were allowed to escape. "Impossible," Chancellor Veltarin said firmly. "Our records show complete elimination in every case." Silthara's 4 eyes were all focused on her screens now, cross-referencing historical data with current intelligence. "Not impossible," she said slowly. "Unlikely, but not impossible. Small groups could have escaped to unexplored systems. Hidden colonies could have survived if they remained completely isolated." The implications. Zephelin's glow was now painful to look at. "If humans have been talking to survivors, they know exactly what corrective action means. They know we don't just stop expansion, we eliminate entire species." The weight of this realization settled over the chamber. The ultimatum they had sent was not a diplomatic solution to a potential problem. It was a declaration of war against a species that already knew the Council's true nature. Counselor Farion stood up from his crystal formation. "Then we have no choice," he said grimly. "We cannot allow them time to prepare. If humans know what we really are, if they know what happens to species that defy us, then they will never surrender." The ultimatum was designed to give them a chance to submit peacefully, Chancellor Veltarin said. "The ultimatum was a mistake," Morgan replied from his tank. "We gave them 30 days to prepare for war. 30 days for a species that has been planning for this. Moment since first contact, archive." Keeper Silthara was still reviewing historical data when she made a discovery that made her worst fears seem optimistic. "Counselors," she said urgently, "I have found something in the historical records. 3 species in our past showed similar expansion patterns to humanity. All 3 were eliminated by the Council." "Yes, we know this," Veltarin replied impatiently. "But I found something else." Silthara continued. "All 3 species had contact with each other before we eliminated them. They shared information. They coordinated their defenses. The chamber erupted as the implications became clear." "You are suggesting a conspiracy?" Veltarin demanded. "I am suggesting that surviving members of eliminated species have been waiting," Silthara replied. "Waiting for a species powerful enough to challenge the Council. Waiting for humans. The Galaxy Council had maintained peace for 3,000 years by eliminating threats before they became dangerous. They had done it 43 times without fail, but they had never faced a threat that knew they were coming. 6 months had passed since humanity delivered their response to the Galaxy Council. Admiral Kang Hyun walked through the diplomatic quarter of Nexus Station. observing how dramatically things had changed. Where alien species had once looked at humans with condescension or mild curiosity, now they gave respectful distance. Conversation stopped when humans approached, not from fear exactly, but from a new understanding of what humanity represented. The Terra Prime was now permanently stationed at Nexus Station, not as a diplomatic vessel requesting permission to be there, but as the flagship of humanity's new position in galactic politics. Captain Park Gina had been promoted to Admiral and given command of the growing human fleet presence throughout Council space. Status report. Admiral Hyun requested as he entered the ship's conference room. Trade requests from Council species have increased by 340% since our announcement, Captain Park reported. 17 species have formally requested security agreements with human forces. 8 have asked for assistance with territorial disputes that the Council has been ignoring for decades. Dr. Song, now serving as Chief Technology Advisor for Human-Alien Relations, looked up from her datapad. More interesting is what we're seeing in the research sector, she added. 12 different research consortiums that were previously Council members only have invited human participation. Projects that were classified for centuries are suddenly being shared with us. Admiral Hyun was not surprised. Fear had a way of opening doors that diplomacy never could. What about the Council itself? High Chancellor Veltarin has requested 3 separate meetings in the past month, Park replied. Each time she uses words like mutual understanding and shared prosperity instead of compliance and corrective action. The fundamental power dynamic has shifted, Dr. Song observed. They can no longer assume automatic obedience from other species. Everyone knows that humanity proved the Council can be challenged successfully. Admiral Hyun accessed the strategic display, showing human positions throughout the galaxy. What he saw there satisfied him greatly. Human ships were no longer hiding in the shadows. They patrolled openly through systems that had been Council territory for millennia, not as conquerors but as the new reality that everyone had to acknowledge. How is Project 7 proceeding? He asked. Ahead of schedule, Dr. Song replied with satisfaction. The shipyards in the outer Sol system are now producing vessels at full capacity. We're launching new ships faster than Council intelligence can count them. More importantly, Captain Park added, our alliance with the survivor species has given us manufacturing capabilities throughout unexplored space. The Council has no idea how large our combined fleet really is. This was the true genius of humanity's strategy. The Galaxy Council had always maintained control by knowing exactly what threats existed and where they were located. Now they faced an enemy whose full capabilities were deliberately hidden from them. Admiral Hyun received a priority communication from Director Kim on Earth. He activated the secure channel. Admiral, we've received an interesting proposal from the Altarian Trade Federation. Kim's voice came through clearly. They want to establish direct trade routes that bypass Council oversight entirely. This was significant. The Altarians had been loyal Council supporters for over 1,000 years. If they were willing to ignore Council trade regulations, it meant the old order was crumbling faster than expected. What are they offering? Advanced medical technology in exchange for terraforming expertise. But more importantly, they're offering to share intelligence about Council military capabilities that we haven't been able to gather ourselves. Admiral Hyun considered the implications. Every species that broke away from Council authority made the next defection easier. Approved. But make sure they understand that we expect exclusive agreements. No sharing our technology with Council loyalists. Already clarified. They're severing their military cooperation agreements with the Council as part of the deal. After ending the communication, Admiral Hyun walked to the main viewing port of the Terra Prime. Outside, he could see the massive structure of Nexus Station, the political heart of the Galaxy Council. But what he found most satisfying was the view beyond the station. Human ships moved through space with authority that hadn't existed 6 months ago, not requesting permission, not asking for guidance, simply going where they needed to go. Captain Park joined him at the viewing port. Sir, I've been thinking about something. The Council spent 3,000 years eliminating species that might threaten them, but they never considered what would happen if one of those species was ready for them. They assumed fear would work, Admiral Hyun replied. They assumed we would react like every other species, with panic and desperate negotiations. Dr. Song approached with a data pad containing intelligence reports. Actually, I think their mistake was more fundamental than that, she said. They assumed we would fight the war they wanted us to fight. She displayed tactical analyses comparing human strategy to previous conflicts. Every species they eliminated tried to match. Council forces ship for ship, weapon for weapon. They fought traditional battles in predictable locations. We never intended to fight that war, Admiral Hyun noted with satisfaction. Exactly. We fought an intelligence war, an economic war, a psychological war. By the time they realized what was happening, we had already won. A new communication request came through, this time from High Chancellor Velteran herself. Admiral Hyun, I hope you will consider a personal meeting to discuss areas of mutual benefit between humanity and the Council. The tone was completely different from the ultimatum delivered 6 months earlier. Gone was the arrogant assumption of authority. This was the voice of someone who understood they were no longer in control. Schedule it for tomorrow, Admiral Hyun told his communications officer. Conference room 7. Captain Park looked surprised. Sir, are we considering actual negotiations with them? We're considering what's best for humanity's long-term interests, Admiral Hyun replied. The Council still controls significant resources and territory. If they're willing to accept the new reality, there's no reason we can't coexist. And if they're not willing, Admiral Hyun's expression remained cold and professional. Then we'll remind them what happened to the last group that tried to threaten human survival. Dr. Song brought up the latest intelligence reports from throughout the galaxy. The Survivor Species Alliance is reporting interesting developments. 3 more supposedly extinct civilizations have made contact. Small populations, but they've been developing advanced technology in hiding for centuries. How many survivor groups are there total? Admiral Hyun asked. We've confirmed 23 different species with viable populations. Combined with humanity, that's 24 civilizations that have every reason to ensure the Council never regains its former power. The implications were staggering. The Galaxy Council had thought they were facing one rebellious species. Instead, they were facing a coalition of their former victims, led by the most militarily capable species in the galaxy. Admiral Hyun reviewed the strategic situation one more time. Human forces were positioned throughout Council space. Allied species were providing intelligence and support. Former Council supporters were switching sides daily. The old order was collapsing, and humanity was helping to build whatever came next. There's one more thing, Captain Park said quietly. Intelligence reports suggest that some Council species are discussing the possibility of removing the current leadership, replacing them with representatives who are more willing to accept the new galactic balance. This was what Admiral Hyun had been waiting for, the moment when the Council's own members realized that their survival depended on adaptation rather than resistance. Let them come to that conclusion themselves, he said. We don't need to conquer the Galaxy Council. We just need them to understand that they're no longer the only power that matters. He turned away from the viewing port and walked back toward his ready room. The ultimatum they gave us assumed we would react with emotion, fear, anger, desperation. They expected us to make mistakes based on those emotions. Instead, we reacted with mathematics. We calculated the probabilities, identified the optimal strategy, and executed it with precision. Captain Park and Dr. Song followed him down the corridor. What's our next objective, sir? Park asked. Consolidation, Admiral Hyun replied. We've broken the Council's monopoly on power. Now we need to make sure the new system that replaces it serves everyone's interests, not just humanity's. And if other species try to challenge us the way we challenged the Council? Admiral Hyun paused at the door to his ready room and looked back at his officers. Then they'll discover what the Council learned 6 months ago. Humanity doesn't just prepare for the wars we expect to fight. We prepare for the wars we hope we'll never need to fight. But if we have to fight them, we win. As Admiral Hyun entered his ready room, he reflected on how completely the galaxy had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had been a young species facing extinction. Now they were the dominant military force in known space, allied with the survivors of civilizations that were supposed to be extinct, and in the process of reshaping galactic politics entirely. The Galaxy Council chambers had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 47 member species were present, along with observers from dozens of allied governments. Word had spread throughout Council space that humanity would deliver their response today, and everyone wanted to witness what they assumed would be either submission or desperate defiance. High Chancellor Veltarin stood at the center of the chamber, her crystalline form reflecting the lights from dozens of different species' viewing systems. She had expected this moment to be routine, another young species accepting the reality of Council authority, or perhaps making empty threats before inevitable surrender. The human delegation has requested permission to address the full Council, she announced. We will now hear their response to our ultimatum. The main viewing screen activated, showing the bridge of the Terra Prime. Admiral Kang Hyun appeared in full dress uniform, flanked by Captain Park Gina and Dr. Song Yuna. His expression was calm and professional, showing no sign of stress or fear. Honorable Council members, Admiral Hyun began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems. We have received your ultimatum and given it careful consideration. Councillor Zeflin's energy form pulsed nervously. Something about the human admiral's tone was not what she had expected. Before we provide our response, Hyun continued, we would like to share some information that we believe will be of interest to the Council. Dr. Song stepped forward and activated a holographic display that appeared throughout the chamber. The first image showed a barren world with the remains of what had once been cities. This is Kepler 442b, she said matter-of-factly, formerly the homeworld of the Harmony Collective. Population, 12 billion. Status extinct for 2,047 years. Shocked murmurs ran through the chamber. The Harmony Collective was not supposed to be public knowledge. The display changed to show another dead world. This is Ross 128b, former home of the Crystal Singers. Population, 8 billion. Status extinct for 1952 years. More images followed in rapid succession. World after world of dead cities and empty planets. Gliesa 667 cc. The Iron Dynasty, extinct for 1203 years. Wolf 1061c, the Void Walkers, extinct for 891 years. Tuai 715b, the Star Weavers, extinct for 542 years. With each revelation, the Council chamber grew more agitated. These civilizations were supposed to be forgotten, their very existence erased from galactic history. Captain Park took over the presentation, her voice as calm as if she were reading a weather report. In total, we have documented 43 species that the Galaxy Council has completely eliminated over the past 3 millennia. Each extinction followed the same pattern: rapid expansion, technological advancement, Council ultimatum, refusal to submit, and total genocide. High Chancellor Veltarin found her voice. How did you acquire this information? These records are classified at the highest levels. Admiral. Hyun smiled coldly. That brings us to the next part of our presentation. Dr. Song activated a new set of displays showing star maps with highlighted routes throughout Council space. For 20 years, human merchants, diplomats, students, and tourists have traveled freely throughout Council territory. During that time, we have mapped every trade route, cataloged every military installation, and identified every strategic resource in Council space. The star map zoomed in to show detailed intelligence on Council military positions. We know the location of every Council fleet base. We know the patrol schedules of your border guards. We know the communication frequencies used by your command. Structure. Depth Lord Morgan's water tank. Systems made distressed noises. This is espionage on an unprecedented scale, he gurgled. This is preparation, Captain Park corrected. You see, we learned something very important from our historical research. The display changed again, this time showing tactical analyses of previous Council military actions. Every species you eliminated made the same mistake. They assumed you were negotiating in good faith. They believed your ultimatums were genuine diplomatic offers. They prepared for the war they thought you wanted to fight. Admiral Hyun stepped forward. We made no such assumptions. From the moment of first contact, we have been preparing for this exact scenario. Suddenly, new contacts appeared on the chamber's sensor displays. Ships were approaching Nexus Station from multiple directions, but they weren't showing up on long-range scans. They were simply appearing without warning. Counselors, Dr. Song said, please direct your attention to your tactical displays. Throughout the chamber, representatives checked their personal sensors and communication devices. What they saw made many of them recoil in shock. Human ships were everywhere, not attacking, not threatening, but present. Sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, positioned at key points throughout the system. Ships that had appeared without triggering any of the station's early warning systems. How many? Chancellor Veltaran demanded, her crystalline form flickering with stress patterns. In this system? 47 ships, Admiral Hyun replied, one for each Council member species. A symbolic gesture. Throughout Council space, that number is considerably higher. Councillor Kethvar's mechanical systems were processing sensor data at maximum capacity. Impossible, his electronic voice announced. Our monitoring networks show no signs of fleet movements on this scale, Captain. Park activated another display showing real-time feeds from across the galaxy. Your monitoring networks are designed to detect traditional, faster-than-light travel. Our jump drive technology operates on different principles. The feed showed human ships appearing at strategic locations throughout Council territory. Not invading, not attacking, simply taking positions that would allow them to strike at critical infrastructure if necessary. Every major trade hub, every military staging area, every Council government world now has human ships in position, she explained clinically. We can reach any target in Council space within 6 hours. Archive Keeper Silthara was frantically accessing historical databases with all 4 of her eyes. This deployment pattern, she said with growing alarm, it matches theoretical models for simultaneous system strikes. You could attack our entire civilization at once. We could, Admiral Hyun agreed. But that's not why we're here. Dr. Song brought up a final set of displays. Technical specifications that made the Council's military experts examine their screens more closely. We've spent 2 decades analyzing Council technology and tactics. Your ships are powerful, but they're designed for traditional warfare against inferior opponents. Large, heavily armed vessels that rely on overwhelming firepower. Our ships are designed differently, smaller, faster, harder to detect, and capable of striking critical targets before withdrawing. Quality over quantity. The tactical implications were becoming clear to military minds throughout the chamber. You're not planning to fight our fleets directly, Councillor Farion realized. You're planning to destroy our infrastructure while avoiding our main forces. We're planning to do whatever is necessary to ensure human survival, Admiral Hyun replied. But we hope that won't be necessary. High Chancellor Veltaran struggled to maintain her authority in the face of this unprecedented situation. What exactly are you proposing? Admiral Hyun's expression became even colder. We're not proposing anything. We're informing you of the new reality. He activated a communication device, and additional figures appeared on the screen, representatives of species that the Council had thought extinct. Allow me to introduce our allies. Survivors of the Harmony Collective, the Crystal Singers, the Iron Dynasty, and 14 other civilizations that the Council attempted to eliminate. The chamber erupted in chaos as Council members realized that their greatest fear had come true. The past had returned to haunt them. For centuries, these survivors have been waiting for someone with the strength to challenge Council authority. Admiral Hyun continued over the noise. They've been gathering intelligence, building hidden fleets, and preparing for this moment. Captain Park delivered the final blow. The Galaxy Council's ultimatum is rejected. Any attempt to implement corrective action against humanity will result in the immediate destruction of Council military and governmental infrastructure throughout the galaxy. This is not a negotiation, Dr. Song added. This is not a threat. This is notification that the Galaxy Council's monopoly on power has ended. Admiral Hyun looked directly at Chancellor Veltaran. For 3,000 years, you have maintained control through fear and genocide. You eliminated anyone who might threaten your authority, but you made one critical error. You left survivors. And survivors remember. They plan, they prepare. They wait for the right moment to strike back. The communication continued for another few minutes as the human delegation systematically dismantled every assumption the Council had made about their capabilities and intentions. When it finally ended, the chamber fell into stunned silence. High Chancellor Veltaran looked around at her fellow Council members, seeing fear and uncertainty where there had once been confident authority. The Galaxy Council had ruled through the threat of overwhelming force for millennia. But now they faced an enemy that had turned their own tactics against them, an enemy that could strike anywhere, anytime, without warning. The bunker was 3 kilometers beneath the city of Seoul, carved out of solid rock and lined with materials that could survive a direct nuclear strike. It had been built in secret over the past 15 years, designed for exactly this kind of meeting. Director Kim Min-seo walked down the long corridor toward the main conference room. Her footsteps echoed in the silence, but she was not nervous. She had been preparing for this day since she first joined the Strategic Defense Initiative 20 years ago. The conference room contained representatives from every major human government and military organization. General Han Ji-ho from the United Earth Defense Force sat across from Admiral Kang Hyun, who had just arrived from the Terra Prime. Dr. Song Yoon-ha from the Theoretical Physics Division was reviewing data on her tablet, while Intelligence Chief Ryu Tae-hyun stood beside a massive holographic display. "Ladies and gentlemen," Director Kim said as she took her seat at the head of the table, "we all know why we're here. The Galaxy Council has given us an ultimatum. We have 30 days to surrender our independence or face their corrective action." She activated the main display, showing the Council's demands: complete military stand-down, end to terraforming projects, foreign oversight of our technology, population controls. She paused. "In other words, they want us to become their subjects." General Han stood up and moved to the tactical display. "Before we discuss our response, let me present the current military situation," he said. His voice was calm and professional, as if he were discussing routine training exercises instead of potential galactic war. The display changed to show human space and surrounding systems. As of this morning, we have 847 active warships distributed across 12 systems. Another 200 ships are in various stages of construction. Our ground forces consist of 2.3 million active personnel with 8.7 million reserves, he highlighted, key strategic points on the map. Every human colony has been designed as a defensive position from the beginning. Underground facilities, hardened communications, distributed manufacturing capabilities. We can continue military production even if individual worlds are attacked. Dr. Song looked up from her tablet. "General, what about enemy capabilities? How do we compare to Galaxy Council forces?" Han brought up comparative data. Council forces number approximately 50,000 ships across all member species. However, most of these are patrol vessels and system defense units. Their main battle fleet consists of about 8,000 heavy warships. The numbers looked overwhelming, but Han's expression remained calm. The advantage of numbers is on their side. However, our intelligence suggests several critical weaknesses in their force structure. Intelligence Chief Ryu stepped forward to the display. "For the past 20 years, every human who has traveled in Council space has been gathering information," he said. "Every trade mission, every diplomatic visit, every cultural exchange has been an intelligence operation." New data appeared on the screen: technical specifications, fleet movements, communication protocols. "The Galaxy Council has not fought a real war in over 1,000 years," Ryu continued. "Their military doctrine is based on overwhelming shows of force against technologically inferior opponents. They have no experience fighting enemies with comparable capabilities." Admiral Hyun activated his personal communicator to join the discussion from his ship. "Chief Ryu is correct." His voice came through the speakers. "I've observed Council fleet exercises personally. Their tactics are designed for intimidation, not actual combat. Large ships, impressive weapons, but poor coordination and inflexible command structures." Dr. Song stood up and moved to the technical display. "There's something else," she said. "We've been analyzing Council technology for 2 decades. Their faster-than-light travel systems are actually inferior to what we've developed." She brought up comparative technical diagrams. "Council ships use a quantum tunnel method that requires massive energy expenditure and can only jump to predetermined coordinates. Our jump drives are more efficient and can reach any point in space with appropriate calculations." "What does that mean in practical terms?" Director Kim asked. "It means our ships can jump farther, more accurately, and with less preparation time," Dr. Song replied. "More importantly, we can jump into combat situations that their technology cannot handle." General Han highlighted this advantage on the tactical display. "Council doctrine assumes that fleet movements are predictable and battles happen at predetermined locations. Our jump capabilities allow us to appear anywhere, without warning, and withdraw before they can respond effectively." Intelligence Chief Ryu brought up another critical point: We've also discovered something disturbing about the Galaxy Council's history, he said grimly. They've been eliminating species for millennia, not just stopping expansion, complete genocide. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. How many species? Director Kim asked. 43 confirmed eliminations over the past 3,000 years, Ryu replied. Every time a species expanded too rapidly or developed technology too quickly, the Council destroyed them completely. No survivors, no negotiations, no second chances. Dr. Song's face went pale. That's why they gave us an ultimatum instead of negotiating, she said. They never intended to let us remain independent. They're just following their standard procedure, demand surrender, then eliminate the species when they refuse. Admiral Hyun's voice came through the speakers with cold certainty. Which means this isn't really about our expansion or our weapons. This is about preventing us from becoming powerful enough to threaten their control. General Han updated the tactical display to show the true scope of the situation. If they follow their historical pattern, corrective action means total extermination. They'll send enough ships to destroy every human world, every human settlement, every human alive. Director Kim looked around the room at her colleagues. Then we have a simple choice, she said. Surrender and face slow death through oppression, or fight and face the possibility of quick death through military action. There is a third option, Dr. Song said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. We've been working on something for the past 10 years. Project 7. It was designed as a last resort if we ever faced an existential threat. She activated a new section of the display, showing construction sites throughout human space. The Galaxy Council thinks our colonies are just settlements with some defensive capabilities. They don't know what we've really been building. The display zoomed in on industrial facilities that had been carefully hidden from alien observation. Every human world has been designed as a military production center from the beginning. We can manufacture warships, weapons, and equipment at rates that would be impossible for traditional colonies. General Han studied the production data with growing amazement. Dr. Song, are you saying we can outproduce the Galaxy Council? Not immediately, she replied. But give us 6 months of wartime production and yes, we can build ships faster than they can destroy them. Intelligence Chief Ryu brought up one final piece of information. There's something else. We've made contact with survivors from some of the species the Council eliminated, hidden colonies that managed to escape the genocides. Survivors? Director Kim leaned forward. How many? 17 different species with viable populations. They've been hiding in unexplored systems, waiting for someone powerful enough to challenge the Council. The implications were staggering. Humanity wouldn't be fighting alone. Admiral Hyun's voice carried a note of grim satisfaction. So the Council has made enemies over the centuries. Enemies who want revenge. More than that, Ryu replied. Enemies who have detailed knowledge of Council military capabilities, tactics, and weaknesses. They've been preparing for this fight for centuries. Director Kim stood up and walked to the main display. She looked at the tactical situation, the production capabilities, the potential allies, and the timeline they were working with. 30 days, she said finally. They gave us 30 days to surrender. She turned back to face the room. General Han, I want every ship we have positioned for combat operations within 15 days. Dr. Song, begin wartime production immediately. Chief Ryu, make contact with our potential allies and coordinate intelligence sharing. What about the Council's ultimatum? Admiral Hyun asked. Director Kim's expression was as cold as winter. We're going to respond to their ultimatum, she said, but not in the way they expect. She activated her secure communications system. Admiral Hyun, prepare the Terra Prime for a diplomatic mission to Nexus Station. You're going to deliver our response personally. What should I tell them? Kim looked around the room at the representatives of human civilization. These people had spent decades preparing for a war they hoped would never come. Now it was here and they were ready. Tell them that humanity rejects their ultimatum. Tell them we know what corrective action really means. Tell them we've been preparing for this fight since the day we met them. She paused, making sure everyone understood the magnitude of what they were about to do. And tell them that unlike the previous 43 species they eliminated, we're not going to face them alone. The meeting ended with quiet efficiency as each representative began implementing their part of humanity's response. There were no dramatic speeches or emotional declarations. The red warning light flashed 3 times across the bridge of the Terra Prime. Admiral Kang Hyun looked up from his morning reports as the communication officer turned toward him with wide eyes. Sir, we have an incoming transmission. Priority level 9. It's from the Galaxy Council. Hyun set down his coffee cup slowly. In his 25 years of military service, he had never seen a Priority 9 message. The highest emergency level was usually saved for planetary invasions or system-wide disasters. Put it through to the main screen, he said quietly. Captain Park. Gina moved closer to the Admiral's chair. She had been serving under Hyun for 8 years and knew that tone of voice. It meant trouble was coming. The main viewing screen flickered to life. The seal of the Galaxy Council appeared first, a circle of 47 different symbols representing each member species. Then the image changed to show a tall crystalline figure standing in what looked like a massive chamber. I am High Chancellor Velteron of the Galaxy Council, the alien said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes mixed with the grinding of stone. This message is directed to the leadership of the human species. Chief Science Officer Lee Woo-jin stepped forward from his station. He had studied alien languages for most of his career, but he had never heard a Galaxy Council member speak with such a cold tone. Attention, humans of the Sol system and its colonies, the Chancellor continued. The Galaxy Council has been watching your species since first contact 20 years ago. We have been patient. We have been understanding. But our patience has limits. The image behind the Chancellor changed to show a map of human space. Red dots marked each human colony and military base. There were far more dots than most aliens realized. Your expansion has been noted. In 50 standard years, you have claimed 12 star systems. You have built military installations in each one. You have created weapons that concern the elder species of this galaxy. Admiral Hyun's face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the arms of his chair slightly tighter. Behind him, the bridge crew listened in complete silence. More troubling is your practice of terraforming dead worlds instead of seeking council approval for suitable planets. You change entire ecosystems to match your needs. This level of environmental manipulation is forbidden without proper oversight. Captain Park glanced at the Admiral. Terraforming was humanity's greatest achievement. It allowed them to turn worthless rocks into garden worlds in just a few decades. The aliens had always seemed nervous about it during diplomatic meetings. The Galaxy Council has maintained peace in this galaxy for over 3,000 years, Chancellor Velteron said. We have done this by ensuring that no single species becomes too powerful too quickly. Young races must learn patience. They must accept guidance from their elders. The Chancellor moved closer to the camera, its crystalline face reflecting light in strange patterns. Humanity has shown remarkable progress but also remarkable aggression. Your military buildup concerns us. Your ships now rival fleets that took other species centuries to develop. This rapid advancement suggests dangerous ambitions. Lee Woo-jin quietly activated his personal recorder. Every word of this transmission would need to be analyzed later. The way the Chancellor spoke suggested this was not just a diplomatic complaint. Therefore, the Galaxy Council issues this final ultimatum to the human species, the alien continued. You have 30 standard cycles to comply with the following. Demands. A list appeared on the screen beside the Chancellor's image. First, all human military expansion beyond the Sol system must cease immediately. Your existing colonies may remain, but no new systems may be claimed. Second, all terraforming projects must be halted and submitted to Council review. Any world modifications done without Council approval must be reversed. Third, humanity must accept Council oversight of all military development. Your weapons research and ship construction must be monitored by Council inspectors. Fourth, human population expansion must be limited to Council-approved levels. No colony may exceed 1 million inhabitants without permission. The bridge crew exchanged worried looks. These demands would effectively end human expansion and put their entire civilization under alien control. You have 30 cycles to begin compliance, the Chancellor said. Failure to accept these terms will result in corrective action by the Galaxy Council fleet. The image of the Chancellor was replaced by scenes of massive alien warships, ships the size of small cities with weapons that could crack planets. The message was clear. Comply or face destruction. Let us be perfectly clear, the Chancellor's voice continued over the images of alien weapons. In 3,000 years, no species has ever successfully defied the Galaxy Council. Those who tried no longer exist. Their worlds are empty. Their names are forgotten. We do not wish to add humanity to that list. You are a young race with potential, but potential means nothing without wisdom. Wisdom means knowing when to submit to greater authority. The warships faded from the screen, replaced again by the Chancellor's crystalline face. This is not a negotiation. This is not a request for discussion. This is a final warning. You will comply, or you will face the consequences that have befallen every other species that chose defiance. The Galaxy Council expects your response within 5 standard days. We strongly recommend that response be acceptance of our terms. The transmission ended abruptly. The bridge of the Terra Prime fell into complete silence. Admiral Hyun stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Then he turned to his communication officer. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha clearance, sir," Captain Park said quietly. "What do we tell them?" Hyun stood up from his chair and walked to the main viewing port. Outside, the stars looked the same as they always had. But something fundamental had just changed. "We tell them the truth," he said. "The Galaxy Council has just declared war on humanity. They just don't realize it yet, sir." Li Wujin stepped forward. With respect, they said this was an ultimatum, not a declaration of war. Hyun turned back to his crew. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold as winter. "Officer Lee, what do you call it when someone demands you stop expanding, stop growing, stop building, and accept foreign control of your military and colonies?" I suppose that would be surrender, sir." "Exactly. They want us to surrender without fighting. They want us to accept becoming their subjects." Hyun looked around the bridge at his crew. "The question is, do we look like the kind of species that surrenders?" Captain Park straightened up. "No, sir, we do not." "Then we have work to do." Hyun walked back to his chair. "Park, I want battle status reports from every human ship in the galaxy within 6 hours. Please start analyzing everything we know about Galaxy Council military capabilities. I want to know how their ships fight, how their weapons work, and most importantly, how they can be destroyed." "Sir," the communication officer called out, "I have Earth Command on the secure line. Put them through." Hyun sat down and activated the encryption system. "This is Admiral Hyun aboard the Terra Prime. We have received the Galaxy Council's ultimatum. Recommend immediate activation of Protocol 7. The voice from Earth Command was crisp and professional. "Understood, Admiral. Protocol 7 authorization confirmed. How much time do we have?" Hyun looked at the timer on his screen showing the countdown to the Galaxy Council's deadline. 30 days to prepare for war," he said. "But I think we've been preparing for this moment since the day we met our first alien." As the Admiral began his report to Earth Command, the crew of the Terra Prime began their preparations. They had 30 days to get ready for a fight that would determine whether humanity remained free or became another footnote in galactic history. The Galaxy Council had made one critical mistake. They assumed humanity would react like every other species they had threatened over the past 3,000 years. They were about to learn that humans were different, very different.